This week's Parsha, Mishpatim, deals predominantly with many of the civil and tort laws that are found in the Torah. But the Parsha opens up with something very interesting, the story of the Eved Ivri, the Jewish bondsman. Now we're talking about an individual here that is either destitute and has no means of supporting himself, or he has to pay restitution because he was a thief and has no means of paying that restitution. So for the Torah says that he becomes this Jewish bondsman where he sells his services to somebody else for a period of 6 years. And then on the 7th year, the Torah says, he goes free on the sabbatical year. Why did the Torah choose to open up the Parsha of civil and tort law of Mishpatim with this story of the Jewish bondsman? The Ramban, the Nachmanides, in his commentary in this week's Parsha writes, because we are to remember the exodus of Egypt. And God took us out of Egypt. He took us from being slaves into the status of being free men. And therefore we too are commanded. When we have people working under us, we are commanded, treat them with the same respect and dignity that you would want for yourselves. Because He took us out of Egypt, we know what it means to be slaves. And therefore we are supposed to treat others as well, with respect and dignity. Talking about the exodus of Egypt and remembering that seems to be a little difficult because we in fact were never in Egypt, or most of us were not. So how can we relate to an experience that we never actually went through? I one time heard this fascinating idea that the word Mitzrayim, Egypt in Hebrew, comes from the word Meitzar, which means confinement, and we have all different sorts of states in our life that we are confined. We can be confined physically, we can be confined emotionally, we can be confined financially, spiritually, many different ways. And then we are saved. We are helped out by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, by God. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim. I am the Lord, the God that took you out of Egypt. Not only the geographical Egypt that God took us out from 3,300 years ago, but asher hotzeisicha me'eretz Mitzrayim, He takes us out of our own state of confinement on a daily basis, be it physically, emotionally, or spiritually. God takes us out of our own Egypt. And that is what we shall remember. We are the recipients of this great kindness, of us being in that confined state, and then we look up and we find the Yeshua of Hashem, the salvation of God. That is bringing it back to the story of the Jewish bondsman. We are the recipients of His kindness, and therefore we are supposed to practice that dignity and respect unto others. That's all about being a person that lives a life of B'Tselem Elokim in God's image. God is compassionate and gracious to us, and we are supposed to be compassionate and gracious to others. Have a wonderful Shabbos.